handles the toys and games. And they said, that's George Christensen. Can I have his number? They said, sure. They gave me his phone number. I called his office, and he said, I got him on the phone. Today is much different, communication, email, all that kind of stuff. This is how it worked there, and I'll tell you how it works today. I called his office, got his secretary, asked if he was in, she said yes, got on the phone. I said, look, Mr. Christensen, my name is Ken Johnson. I have a company called K&K International. I have a baseball game. You're going to love it. It's great. It's wonderful. I'd like to show it to you. He says, why don't you send it to me along with your sell sheet? I didn't even know what a sell sheet was, but I played along. He says, I said, you know, I'm right here in Detroit. Why don't I just come by one day and just show it to you? He said, okay. And he gave me an appointment. This was in September of 1980. I go there in September. Now, I don't know anything about the sales cycle or anything else. So retailers have a sales cycle. I didn't know this. So I go there in September of 1980. And he looks at the game. I learned so much from him. He actually becomes a mentor to me. He tells me what a sell sheet is, what I should have, who to talk to next. He told me to go talk to the people at Meyer. I talked to the people at Meyer. Wow. The guy bought it the first day I was there. Not the baseball game, but the card game. And but during the baseball interview, he's telling me various tips and ideas. And he says, look, I'm not buying right now. Why don't you come back in, I think it was March of 1981, and we'll take another look at it. I said, okay. I said, can I have an appointment now? 6 months. He says, no, just call me in March. So I'm thinking this is kind of a blow-off. He's not going to really deal with me. But sure enough, I call him in March. He gives me another appointment. I go there. I show him the baseball game again. And he buys it. And I work out the license deal at that time. Today, getting a hold of the retailers, obviously it's much more difficult. There's voicemail. You can't talk to anyone directly. You got to go through, all this kind of rigmarole, right? The way you get to the retailers today, though, is the same way. You still have to call and find out who the buyer is, and you can get that information. When you call and you get called on voicemail, you press 0. Eventually, you'll get to an operator, and you simply ask them who buys whatever it is. I helped another gentleman get a golfing device into Kmart a few years later after I got in, and we went through the same process. And the buyer bought it, put it in nationwide. And then once he got the initial product in there, we went there a second time and he got an additional product, golfing device, in with the same buyer, and some millions of them. So it's the same process today as it was then. You got to find out who the buyer is. They often will tell you, send me an email, or send me a sell sheet, or just send the product. And if I'm you, I will tell them, if I don't come up with some reason why you can't send it, and I'm going to be in Seattle next week, next month, or whatever, why don't I come show it to you? You have a much better chance if you can present it than you do if you send it to them. Okay? Any other questions before I get to John? Okay, John asked about our investment group. So what we're doing through this TIA organization here, which is still in its infancy, is we are working to put together a group of investors. Remember I mentioned the guy who helped me with the engineering on that auto wash thing? He's one of these investors. And what we're doing is we are putting together a Shark Tank-like forum where entrepreneurs and inventors who are venturing, so we're not going to do any licensing, but if you want to venture your invention or you've already started doing so, you can put in applications, and the video will give you all the details later. And we'll take a look at that. If we like it, then you'll be invited to come down, take a half hour, show us what you got, and hopefully one of the guys will say, hey, I want to be a part of this. Either invest in your business or take it on into their product line, depending on what it is you've got. So that's what we're working on. I'll give John the details as we continue to advance it. It looks like I met with the guys last week, and we were actually looking at another opportunity, but we're going to be looking at more stuff probably starting in March, 1st of April. So if you've got something, you've got my card, by the way, it's the 248 area code, not 284, whatever it is. It's 248 area code. You can give me a call, and I can fill you in on details as they come along, put your name on the list, and we can sit down and take a look at what you got. One thing we're not so interested in is being involved in just had the other day, a gentleman I met with, he wanted us to invest in his patent, you know, to help him get a patent, and not interested in that sort of thing. If you've already got a patent, or you don't have a patent, but you got a great idea, something that you've got a prototype to, and you're trying to advance it from there, I'd be interested in that sort of thing. But we're not going to pay for development. Does that make sense?
Are you going to focus on any specific industry, or everything is fair game?
We've got a lot of guys of different industries. I'm primarily interested in, obviously, toys and games, but there's other guys who cover everything, engineers, medical doctors, who have money to invest, all kinds of things. In fact, what the opportunity we were looking at the other day was a medical device, so it was right up his alley.
Now, you spoke at Lansing Inventors already, is that correct?
At where?
For the Lansing Inventors, Dave Fedewa?
No, I'm not.
Oh, how about Detroit?
Detroit, yes.
Okay. I know it was one of them. And you haven't been up to Grand Rapids or skiing? Because I'm thinking with your Shark Tank, we've been talking about trying to do something on a state level. And of course, you know, this is my standing joke that the economic development treats us like a garden club. And obviously
Something on an annual, and maybe every quarterly or every 6-month basis, where we have like a convention on a national level, ultimately, but at least on a statewide level, where all the groups can get together, share best practices, share ideas, share resources, and then have those investors there who can take a look at ideas and see if there's something they want to get involved in. So that's kind of ultimately what we're moving forward in association with what you're trying to do here.
our state event is the first Thursday, I think it's the first Thursday after, in September, after the holiday.
Okay. And be a part of that we don't have to start all over again. So.
I just was going to go back and add something that the gentleman asked about contacting vendors. I was going to mention to him that LinkedIn, they have a premium version, and you can get people's emails, and you can search and find, you know, a buyer in the tool department at Target. It's a LinkedIn premium version. And the other thing, a lot of vendors have like vendor networks. You can register, and you'll go through a process, and you try to get before a vendor that way.
Yeah, getting the vendor number is the most difficult thing. And if you got one product, it's a lot harder than if you have a product line. That was the biggest problem I had with Phase 10. I had the one product at the time. And remember I said I had extended the line to 4 or 5 products. And part of that was out of necessity. It was a lot easier to get into retailers if you've got more than one product. It's because they claim it's such hard work to set up a vendor number and all this kind of thing, and they'd rather do it for a product line than for a one-item company, and dealing with that. So that's kind of an issue. Another thing is licensees. It's similar to trying to get into the retailers. If you want to find a prospective licensee, a lot of them will have, even on their website, policy and procedure for looking at outside ideas. You just go on there and follow the steps and get in with them. Particularly in the toy business, it's done all the time. Because remember I told you, everybody and his brother has a new game. So the companies have set up specific procedures for looking at outside ideas. One company I know gets 2,000 submissions a year. Any other questions?